So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good Wednesday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. I welcome you to the BBQ Central Show, the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. And today we have a very special event, one we've been talking about here for the last handful of weeks, almost a month now. It's BBQ Hall of Fame season. The last time we were on in a special event show like this, we were announcing the top 10 finalists, 4 of which will make it to this very day, making up the 2023 BBQ Hall of Fame class, the Inductees, which is not properly pronounced by me, but that's why you love me, because I don't pronounce anything right. If it's me, it's me. That's all I can say. And joining me, as they did for the finalist run to make the announcements here this very afternoon, are none other than our friends Robert Moss and Elizabeth Gunter. Elizabeth there with the American Royal and the BBQ Hall of Fame. And, of course, we know all about Robert Moss, a recurring guest here on the BBQ Central Show. Of course, a Names Committee member, barbecue historian, author, and the like. So, great group of knowledge here as we look to build into the show where we ultimately will reveal who's going to be in the 2023 class. So, before we do that and we allow folks to build in here over the next handful of minutes, let's go ahead and quickly make this YouTube question for the show, not of the week, but of the show. I am asking the viewing public here this afternoon, will the BBQ Central Show receive the Impact Award for 2023? And currently, 56% of you are saying no. Well, we'll wait and see if that's the case, but that, of course, means 44% of you are really hoping that the BBQ Central Show gets the Impact Award. We'll see here in a few minutes. Why not open things up here and talk about the quick review of the top 10 finalists, the names, and, you know, just a quick sentence or two about why they are up for nomination here. Then we'll get into the voting process, and then we will do, for laying out, Impact Award first. Then we'll talk about the legacy members that made it in, and then we'll end it by giving out the 4 2023 inductees. And that's how the show is going to lay out here, just in case you're wondering or your friends are wondering how it's going to lay out. So, Robert or Elizabeth, you want to talk about the finalists list? We can do that, and then we'll talk about the voting process.
I can actually take it away,
Yeah, if you have those queued up, that'd be great to run through that list.
Yeah, I have the names. I'll say the names, and if you don't mind saying a sentence or two, that would be very appreciated.
Sure thing.
So they're in alphabetical order by last name. So we have Byron Chisholm.
Yep, Byron Chisholm, Bad Byron's butt rub. So a competition vet, but also created a very well-known barbecue rub, one of the first sort of commercial rubs to hit the market.
And then Steve Grady.
Steve Grady from Eastern North Carolina, Dudley, North Carolina, the sort of patriarch, now well into his 80s, still cooking split hogs in the old school way. So Grady's Barbecue from Dudley, North Carolina.
David Close.
David Close, manufacturer of sort of made the offset pit. Very big on the competition circuit as well as the rest of the circuit. So a very well-known barbecue pit manufacturer.
I owned a close pit. I did.
And we have Fast Eddie.
Fast Eddie, another pit maker, but different type, not an offset pit. He sort of pioneered the competition and commercial pellet cooker or pellet pits.
Roger Mooking.
Roger Mooking, Man Fire Food is his best known TV series, but has quite a number of others. He's a chef, TV personality, but with Man Fire Food really helped promote American barbecue culture from all sort of all angles. So a big barbecue media figure.
Flora Payne.
Flora Payne, the matriarch, if you will, of Payne's Barbecue in Memphis, Tennessee, one of the great Memphis barbecue legends.
Dave Raymond.
Dave, better known as Sweet Baby Ray. Dave Raymond, founder of the Sweet Baby Ray, or creator and founder of the Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, as well as a couple of restaurants, etc. But one of the best known barbecue sauces on the market, even today.
Malcolm Reed.
And Malcolm Reed, friend of the Barbecue Central show, perhaps definitely the most popular barbecue YouTube instructor, podcaster, a huge digital media figure, and really helped bring barbecue to a whole new generation of internet savvy folks in the last 10 years.
Donnie Teal.
And Donnie Teal, just a huge competition champion, also runs a pretty well-known barbecue trailer out in Toledo, Oklahoma, and lots and lots and lots of trophies on his shelf from a long career of competitions.
And last but certainly not least is Aaron Worth.
Yep, and if anybody you would stack up next to Donnie Teal for trophies, Darren Worth may well be it. He's just really dominated the competition market as well. Last two decades, and also a restaurateur, has a Smokey D's barbecue restaurant catering out in Iowa.
All right, so those are your 10 finalists, and 4 of those folks will make up the 2023 BBQ Hall of Fame class. We will get to those folks here in just a second. For the folks that are just tuning in here for the very first time ever this afternoon because they're messing around at work or whatever it is that they're doing and they needed some live entertainment on the internet and they found this show, they probably have no idea how the BBQ Hall of Fame works. We're not going to get into the whole weeds of it here, but as far as the voting process, so we've overcome one part of this, which is where we've taken the group of names that have been nominated during the nomination window. We've whittled them down to these 10 folks that we had just mentioned. And now there's a accompanying voting process. So how does that work, and what length of time do the voting members have?
Yeah, that's a great question. So within my role, I try to get our committee together, which as of now, it consists of about 7 individuals from various different backgrounds. And we started as early as February this year to have these conversations. But in order to have these conversations, we have to have nominations first. And so nominations come in through an online voting pool, and anyone and everyone is encouraged to kind of cast in their nominations. And whenever those trickle in, they're open from April to about mid-April every year. And so whenever those are finally in and finalized, the committee gets together and they have like meetings after meetings of just going through and reviewing, doing the research on these individuals to really narrow it down. And it seems like we got to top 20. And then it becomes really hard trying to pull teeth, batting back and forth of who should be the finalist. And it's a very fun conversation to have because all these individuals are well deserving. And then after they narrow down the finalists, then it goes open for voting. And voting is based on the committee members. They get to cast their votes. And then as well as any previous Hall of Fame inductee members gets to cast their votes as well. And then we tally them up, and then we have our final 4, which is how what we're going to share with you today. And then based on the legacy and impact, that is actually chosen through the committee as well. So if Robert, I missed anything, feel free to jump right on in.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that we're announcing the 4 inductees today, but they will actually be honored at the American Royal, which is in September, I believe. What are the dates for the American Royal? It's out in
as
September,
of now,
so there'll be an actual ceremony.
It's September 27th to October 1st, I believe. We are trying to pinpoint a date on the Black Apron and induction ceremony. So Black Apron is more of like a private event for these individuals, and the induction ceremony is actually where they're recognized on stage and have the opportunity to speak and be recognized in front of a crowd.
All right, so perfect timing. We're 10 minutes in, which is exactly when we want to start to do all of the revealing here. So thank goodness we are all professionals, sticking to timelines that we had no idea were actually involved. And as I had mentioned before, we will lead with the Impact Award. So I guess first things first, let's quickly review where the YouTube poll question of the show is, which is, will the Barbecue Central Show receive the Impact Award for 2023? And currently, 54% of people are now saying yes, the show will get the Impact Award. So it was a little negative in the beginning, but 10 minutes later, we're rolling into the positive. So fingers crossed on that. Let's go ahead and learn if there's going to be an Impact Award, and then if so, where the Impact Award is going. Whoever wants to take
this
it.
off. So the Impact Award is a perpetual award. So like you mentioned, it doesn't necessarily have to be recognized every year. Last year was the first year, and we want to keep this going as long as we can for now, especially with the world of barbecue. There's a lot of history involved. And this was really created to help honor and recognize the group of individuals that have made a huge impact on the world of barbecue, and a platform to really preserve the history and help educate moving forward, especially within the world of barbecue that we have today that is created from these individuals. So if you're ready for me to tell you who has the Impact Award, I can let you know, because we have an Impact Awardee.
All right. Let's hear it.
It is the Barbecue Forum this year.
Wow. Oh, I got really excited there for a second. The barbecue. I was like, whoa, here we go.
Whoa.
All right. Well, Barbecue Forum. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder here, but I have long been on the support for the founder, Ray Basso. I think for at least a couple of years, I had nominated Ray Basso, the individual, and then proceeding to give detail on what he has done over the course of his involvement in live fire. I believe a Kansas City guy. And, back in when I started getting into this in the early 2000s, my first venture into barbecue was starting a barbecue forum. And there was no bigger, badder, more trafficked barbecue forum than the aforementioned Barbecue Forum, which was, I think, bbqforum.com. He was really kind of a visionary and a master, might have been a computer guy by profession, or at least had that architecture background, and was able to put together a barbecue forum that everybody was involved in, especially the competitors. That was the place to go before podcasts and Zoom calls and all this other stuff, to hang out with folks that were doing what you did, and you could see results of previous contests. So I've been a long proponent that Ray Basso get into the Barbecue Hall of Fame in some form or fashion. So to see the Barbecue Forum getting the Impact Award is certainly well-deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to add to why the Impact Award, I mean, Ray certainly was the founder of the Barbecue Forum, absolutely instrumental, but he had some help. A gentleman named Mike Tucker, I understand, was also very instrumental in making that happen. But also all the members of the Barbecue Forum who posted and shared and communicated. So it was really a group, a collective effort. And in talking, like Kevin Bledsoe in particular, Ray Lampe, who are on the committee, you talked very eloquently about just how much impact that had on them. And I think it's founded in the mid 90s, early 2000s. It taught an entire generation of cooks. It brought lots and lots of people onto the barbecue circuit, competition circuit, at a time when barbecue was really just coming back, and there wasn't a great way to learn how to barbecue if you didn't have somebody, in your family to show you or something like that. So it was just really instrumental in that, really the revival of barbecue and the founding of the launch, the popularity of the competition circuit. And there were digital media pioneers long before YouTube, social media, podcasts, or anything like that. So, very important role in barbecue history for sure.
I think if you look at who is considered to be, I believe I'm going to say this out loud and they're going to hate me for it, the old guard of barbecue. So you're looking at guys like you talked about, Ray Lampe, even one of the nominees right now, Darren Worth, who's a finalist. If you talk to those folks and ask them what they remember or how they learned as they were coming up through this, if the Barbecue Forum wasn't mentioned as the first thing, I'm sure it would be the second thing that they talk about as being an instrumental part of not only how they were keeping up and keeping track of other things, but just being able to associate with folks without having to be 8 hours away or 10 hours away. Now we're doing it via the computer. Those first online relationships we're building, and all those folks would consider the Barbecue Forum to be the key place. And I used to visit there all the time, too, even though I had a competing forum. So I certainly respect the hell out of Ray. He passed away a year or two ago, maybe a little longer than that. But
last year, yeah.
Yeah, so, sad that he didn't get to see this alive, but certainly well-deserving, in my opinion. Anybody have anything else to add on that, or we can move to the legacy members?
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well, but it definitely epitomizes impact when it comes to impact on barbecue.
All right, so let's move to the legacy members. And Elizabeth, if you want to go ahead and name the names, and then Robert, if you want to jump in on these for whatever reason to add a little color, go ahead.
Yep.
Absolutely. And just like before, these are in alphabetical order. So I will start with our first one. Bill Arnold.
Wow. A year
Yep.
too late,
Bill Arnold.
right? A year too late.
Yeah, that you really would rather not have to do folks like Bill as a legacy, but it is hard to predict. Bill was up, I think, a finalist or in the nominees in prior years.
Yep.
Creator of Blues Hog barbecue sauce, and also fixture well known on the circuit, but really it's hard to understate how influential Blues Hog was. At some point, I think the estimate was like 90% of the competition teams were using Blues Hog in some form, either just upright or as a base for sauce. Something Bill created just in his kitchen, so it whipped it up in a pressure cooker and then marketed it around sort of through the circuit scene. But it really changed. We're talking about impact and influence. It really changed the way a lot of competition teams cooked, the flavor profile of competition barbecue and of the sauces. So a very influential sauce and a very influential person who created it.
I still think the same percentage that you reference of competition cooks, Robert, is probably still using Blues Hog. I mean, it is a staple that a lot of the time you'll see profiles or certain sauces come into vogue, go out of vogue, and maybe something similar catches fire. But Blues Hog has remained a staple for as long as I've ever been in it, now going on 18 years in total. So it's quite a mark, and very happy for Bill making it in through the legacy member. Who's next, Elizabeth?
Columbus Hill.
All right. Yeah, Columbus Hill. So we're going way back.
Way back.
Columbus Hill actually passed away a century ago. He died in 1923. This is an example of why we want to have the legacy. We're trying to not just do people from the late 20th century and people who are still in folks' memory, but some historical figures who help make the BBQ Hall of Fame sort of map out the history. Columbus Hill was a very well-known barbecue man, you may want to call it. This is long before anybody called barbecue cooks pitmaster, but he was one of the most well-known barbecue men in the country, and specifically in Colorado, which you wouldn't think of as a hotbed of barbecue, but barbecue was truly a nationwide institution back around the turn of the 20th century. In Columbus Hill, an African-American man, we know there were lots and lots of African-American cooks cooking barbecue in the 19th century. The thing is, we don't know the names of a lot of them, or the ones who we do know the names of. We know very little about them. Columbus Hill is sort of different in that he got into newspapers an awful lot. He actually showed up. If you read Adrian's book, Black Smoke, Adrian Miller's book, Black Smoke. He profiles Columbus Hill in there and has lots of details. I think one of the interesting things is, barbecues back then were huge. He cooked for a barbecue in 1890 that had somewhere between 25,000 and 30,000 people. And it was to celebrate the laying of the cornerstone of the state capitol in Colorado. So that's a pretty big crowd, pretty big achievement, and his repertoire and his fame is actually fairly well documented, at least compared to most of the anonymous barbecue cooks from that period. So a very important historical figure, and a very important linkage between that 19th century style of outdoor barbecue and the 20th century. As he died in 1923, as barbecue restaurants were just starting to get started. So he sort of bridges that historical period.
So we congratulate Columbus B. Hill, and we have one more legacy member.
Rick Schmidt is the last one.
Yeah, Rick Schmidt. If you may not know the name Rick Schmidt, but you probably know the name Kreitz Market or Smitty's, and two of the great Lockhart barbecue joints. Schmidt, in some ways, is a continuity back to that early period of restaurants. Kreitz Market was founded by Charles Kreitz in 1900. One of the early Texas meat market styles. If you've ever been to Smitty's in Lockhart, that is Kreitz Market, the original Kreitz Market. It was there, I think, 1948. Edgar Schmidt, who is Rick Schmidt's father, bought the meat market from the Kreitz family. And then Rick and his brother took it over from their dad, and then Rick bought out his brother and kept right on going. At that time, it was Kreitz Market, and it's where Smitty's is today. Somewhere around late 90s, 1999, there's a big family feud, and there's a dispute over the Kreitz, which Rick Schmidt was running, and the sister who owned the lease. So Kreitz actually went and set up a new Kreitz Market about maybe a half mile down the road. It's just, you're sitting within walking distance. In fact, they dragged a big wash pan full of coals from the old pits at the old Kreitz to the new Kreitz. And so those fires have been running ever since, who knows how long, but certainly since 1999. And then Smitty's, the family there, the rest of the family opened Smitty's Market. Now you have two legendary Texas markets nearby. And Rick Schmidt really kept that legacy going and is just an icon of the Central Texas barbecue style.
All right, so those are your legacy members. Once again, if you're just tuning in, Bill Arnold from Blues Hog, Columbus B. Hill, and Rick Schmidt are in as legacy members here, and that leaves us with the 2023 Living Hall of Fame inductees. Now, before we get into this, last night, the Barbecue Central show aired live.
I was on a plane, so I missed it.
Now,
can you give us a preview of the picks?
I will give you a preview of the picks. I did the right thing here and just kind of laid low because I was, given a little bit of insight there. I played along a little bit, but, I made some picks that were a little out of left field. So the majority agrees on these picks, and we can see how right we are this time around. We picked Byron Chisholm. We also picked Dave Raymond. We also picked Darren Worth and Flora Payne. Those are our four picks. So for context, these are who we think the voting members of the Hall of Fame were going to vote in. We subsequently also did a list of who we would just put in if it was a singular vote, unilateral, and those lists were all over the place. So we always like to see where we think we know what people are going to vote like. It's gone horrifically bad for like 4 or 5 years in a row. I think last year was our best at just a little over 50%. So we'll see how it goes this year. So the 2023 inductees are as follows. Elizabeth, take it away with name number 1.
Byron Chisholm.
All right. So congratulations to Byron, but +1 for us in the embedded correspondence. So very good. Again, butt rub is Byron competitor first, but then really bringing the commercialization of rub to the general public. When you think about how it got started, I think everybody tracks back to Byron in some form or fashion. So, and this is Byron's been on the list. Was this the second year or third year in a row?
No, he was on last year at least.
Last year?
I'm not sure about the year before that. And I would say that barbecue rub's not that old of a thing. I mean, Byron really did help introduce that. People weren't talking about rubs back in the 1960s, much less 100 years before that. So big influence there.
Yep. Congratulations to Byron. Then we have name number 2, Elizabeth.
Flora Payne, you're 2 for 2.
Just like in high school, I'm happy at 50%, and I'll walk away from here, but that's great. And again, the thing, I was talking with Susie Bullock, so it would have been a week ago Tuesday. She was giving me who she thought might get put in, and she mentioned Flora Payne right off the bat, said whenever there's a woman on a finalist list, she would always, help or vote for a woman that's helped to blaze a trail for her. And I said, what's really unique is you have Memphis, you have barbecue restaurants, and you have 2 women, a person that's already in the Barbecue Hall of Fame being Desiree Robinson of Cozy Corner Barbecue. And now you have a potential Flora Payne getting in, whose storylines are running almost identically. Husbands start barbecue restaurants, husbands pass away, and the wives step in and keep the business going. I think Flora Payne has been in it 37 years plus at this point. A similar time frame, I'm sure, for Desiree Robinson. And now we're also in a second and third generation of involvement and investment in these restaurants. So I think Flora Payne is a great choice. And I think it's pretty unique to have 2 people from Memphis with those similar stories now being able to share this additional unique honor.
Yeah, and when you're voting on these, obviously they're very similar, so it's hard to choose from one or the other. Both very, very worthy. One interesting thing is that I think in both cases, the Robinsons and the Paynes founded their restaurants in the 1970s, and then the wives took over in the 80s. At a time when barbecue restaurants were really declining, and a lot of restaurants that were founded in the 60s and 70s just disappeared before the end of the 21st century. So it's not only keeping a Memphis, famous Memphis restaurant alive, it's really keeping that style of barbecue. And it's one of the reasons why Memphis has a very distinctive barbecue style that you're not going to find just anywhere is because Flora Payne was one of the people helping keep that keep that going.
Now we have a third name. And let's hope we
Dave
are
Raymond.
also smart. Dave Raymond. Look at us at 75%. Holy moly. Look, when we were talking about Dave Raymond, he was the one that was bringing the most consternation between Rusty John and Doug. There was a lot of back and forth, first time on the list. Maybe it's too niche with sauce, who knows? And finally, they were able to come up and say, we'll all agree that Dave Raymond is somebody that we think that the voting folks for the Hall of Fame would do it. So 75% correct with us, which only leaves one less, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. But does anybody have anything else to say about Dave Raymond?
I think we touched upon it, but it's one of the most, if you talk about Hall of Fame, it's certainly a very, very famous name. So
no doubt.
For so very deserving.
All right. That only brings one more name to the table. Elizabeth, let's have
Darren Worth.
Wow. Look at us. I think this is the first year we've been 100% correct. Unbelievable. And I think we're never going to vote again. We're going out on the high note, and we're never going to try and guess what everybody's doing there. But so I believe, is this Darren's third year on the finalist list?
Yeah, I believe so. I think it is. And always a contender, and this was just his year. I think he's now won over 100 KCBS Grand Champions trophies at all the various regional events, which is just incredible. Not to mention like several American Royals and the Jacks and the big invitationals. But if Darren Worth shows up at the competition, everyone else gets a little worried.
I think if Darren took an interest in actually competing at Memphis in May and doing it seriously, look, it's a way different event than a lot of the other events he does. Even when you look at the Houston Livestock and Rodeo event that he has also won, that's really the only one that he hasn't won. If he wins a Memphis in May overall world championship, he has won all of the major world championships that you would possibly want to earn as a pitmaster. And then you can just bring the dump trucks up and pile in all the other state championships, almost winning team of the year a few different times for Kansas City Barbecue Society. Oh, by the way, very successful barbecue restaurant entrepreneur. He's very philanthropic. He just started a barbecue podcast a couple weeks ago, so he's dabbling into new media and ever evolving. So very happy that Darren is, and widely considered to be, if not the best, one of the best competition barbecuers to ever light a fire. So certainly happy to see him here. Those are your 2023 BBQ Hall of Fame inductees. We'll go over them really quickly again. Byron Chisholm, Flora Payne, Dave Raymond, a.k.a. Sweet Baby Ray, and Darren Worth, Iowa Smoky D's competition cook. Very successful. We've done it again for maybe the 5th year in a row. It could have been the 6th year. I'm not sure. But this is absolutely fabulous, and we're right on time. So, Elizabeth, I want to thank you for once again allowing the American Royal to partner with the show where we can do this exclusively. You guys are going to do all your big media releases here shortly, so everybody else in the country will know if they didn't tune into the show, although I'm sure that's a very small percentage of the world. And Robert, always appreciate you sitting in and lending your expertise and insight just to add a little bit of context and color to those folks that have been nominated as well. Robert, anything to promote here on the way out or let us know about?
Oh, I didn't have anything planned. I'll I'll be back again in June for the regular segment. But other than that, I'm actually down in New Orleans today, neck deep in the archives, doing a lot of research for a book, which I'll talk more about maybe on my next appearance. All
right, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks there. And Elizabeth, anything you would like to talk about here before I let you go?
I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be on the show. And I also want to extend a huge thank you to the committee. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. So I see you, I hear you, you're heard. Very grateful from just being patient with me throughout this process.
All right. So Elizabeth and Robert, thank you very much for coming on. And for everybody tuning in just now, you've missed everything. What are you going to do now? Oh, you can wait maybe 30 minutes, and I'll update the podcast feed, and you'll be able to go back and listen at your leisure. If you want to re-listen again, time after time, no problem. A lot of people are probably thumbing out text messages or making phone calls. No, trying to be the first one to let those people that got in, or the family members of the legacy folks that got in, they made it in this year. So congratulations to all the folks. Quick recap. The Impact Award has gone to the BBQ Forum, originally founded by Ray Basso. So congratulations to the BBQ Forum. Legacy members of 2023 include Bill Arnold from Blues Hog Barbecue Sauce, the original founder creator. Columbus B. Hill, a well-known barbecue man of the late 19th century, specifically in the Colorado area, and Rick Schmidt as the owner of Kreutz Market out there in Texas, of course. And then the 2023 living inductees, Byron Chisholm of Byron's Butt Rub and Bad Byron's Butt Rub, buttrub.com, I believe is the website still. Flora Payne, the Payne's barbecue owner there in Memphis. Dave Raymond, Sweet Baby Ray, and Darren Worth from Iowa Smoky D's rounding it out. So there you have it. Hopefully you enjoy that, as I certainly appreciate the fact that the American Way wants to partner with the show and do these exclusive announcements each and every year. We look forward to doing it again in 2024. Again, if you're just tuning in now, make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast feed. You can do that by going to the bbqcentralshow.com/subscribe, and you'll have all the ways you can subscribe right there. And then you can listen at your leisure. Take it in, one name at a time, over the next 3 weeks. However you want to string yourself out, you can do it. Big show planned for you next Tuesday, potentially. We do have a Mo Cason and Bob Trudnak interview set up. Yes, that was confirmed overnight, so we're looking forward to having them. And to everybody who's taken time out of the kind of later end of their day, 3 p.m. Eastern, as we're getting ready to wrap it up here at 3:32. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your listenership, your viewership, your support of the show. It means very much to me, and I certainly appreciate it. And we will see you back here on Tuesday night. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
This is Dino Dan from Cypress, California, and you're watching the BBQ Central Show.